Worldwide Sports here. With the NFL preseason in the books, we're going to take a look at all 32 teams in the NFL and see how they stack up going into the regular season. Today, we're going to be taking a look at the Minnesota Vikings. Let's get into it. First, let's take a quick look back at last season. The Vikings got off to a red hot start after trading for former first overall pick Sam Bradford. The Vikings started 5-0 last year until the bye week. That's when things got interesting. Norv Turner with the 5-2 football team decides to resign as the offensive coordinator. And that's when things took a turn for the worse for the Vikings. With that blazing hot start, the Vikings finished 8-8 and third in the division. Now, a big part of the Vikings' collapse last year was due to their inability to protect Sam Bradford, and they look to address that this offseason. First, they added former division rival Riley Reef. Reef looks to come in and solidify that left tackle position. At the right tackle position, they signed former Panther tackle Mike Remmers, who comes over on a 5-year, $30 million deal. This offseason also saw the departure of longtime great running back Adrian Peterson, who left for the Saints. This was inevitable to me. After the Vikings' suspension and Peterson's lack of production last year, the writing was all over the wall. And looking to replace Adrian Peterson, they brought in former Raiders running back Latavius Murray. Let's take a look at the draft for the Vikings. With their first pick coming in the second round after the Sam Bradford trade last year, they selected Dalvin Cook, running back out of Florida State. Cook blew scouts away at the combine, running a 4.49 40 and also had 22 bench reps with a 30.5 vertical leap and a 116-inch broad jump. Cook looks to come in and improve the Vikings' rushing attack, which ranked dead last in the NFL, only getting 3.2 yards an attempt last year. Cook looks to fill the shoes of a Hall of Famer, but he has all the talent in the world to make a name for himself. In the third round, they selected Pat Elfin, interior lineman out of Ohio State. Manager Rick Spielman made another draft day trade, giving up the 86th overall in a non-disclosed 2017 selection to the New York Jets. In the fourth round, they selected Jaleel Johnson, defensive tackle out of Iowa. With star defensive tackle Sharif Floyd's career in jeopardy, Johnson looks to fill a great need for the Vikings. In the fourth round, they selected Ben Giadin, linebacker out of Michigan. In the fifth round, they selected Rodney Adams, wide receiver out of South Florida. Adams is an explosive receiver who they'll look to get the ball to in space to make big plays. Also in the fifth round, they selected Danny Ishdora, offensive guard out of Miami. In the sixth round, they selected Bucky Hodges, tight end out of Virginia Tech. Then in the seventh round, they selected Stacy Coley, wide receiver out of Miami. Coley with his 4.45 speed looks to add a vertical threat the Vikings desperately need. And with their second of what would be three picks in the seventh round, they selected Idahe Ojidabu, defensive end out of Northwestern. Again in the seventh round, they selected Elijah Lee, linebacker out of Kansas State. They also selected Jack Taco, quarterback out of North Carolina State, wrapping up the draft for the Vikings. On offense, the Vikings found new life in quarterback Sam Bradford. Bradford had the best year of his career, throwing for 3,800 yards and 20 touchdowns, with only 5 interceptions. All this while getting sacked 37 times with that shaky offensive line in front of him. On defense, the Vikings are loaded. They have linebacker Eddie Kendricks, who had over 100 tackles last year. They also have Harrison Smith, the star safety, and also at linebacker they have the stud Anthony Barr. Also up front they have the big man Levi Joseph. On top of that, they have the star corner, Xavier Rhodes, who had 5 interceptions last year. With the improvements up front, I want to see how Sam Bradford is able to expand his game. Hopefully with more complementary of a running game, they look to take a step forward. The Vikings, in my opinion, are the wild card in the NFC. If that offensive line can keep Sam Bradford upright, and that defense performs the way I believe they can, this team is looking at a shot at the playoffs, in my opinion. So, Minnesota Viking fans, what do you think? How do you think this team is going to perform? Do you like the offseason additions that they made? Let me know down below. comment, subscribe to the channel. We have a lot more coming, guys. Stay tuned. Worldwide Sports, we're out. This has been a Worldwide Sports production.